feedback. We talked about citizen engagement. Now third point is citizen experience. So what is the difference? In the first one, they are asking only random citizens, what do you think? Is this city good to live in? Is your what is your feedback about the specific aspect? In second, there were direct involvement of citizen, contribution of citizens in keeping the city clean and beautiful. And this one, it is the citizen's experience as he or she passes through the city, the streets. So this is a separate aspect. So the first one, beautification of slums, old city areas, flyovers, public places. So you would have seen many murals and very paintings and all that being done on all flyover pillars and sidewalls and all that. That is part of this. And beautification of slum means, it is basically, rather than looking very haphazard, it is all made streamlined and, beautified. Some parts are painted over. All that is this. Second, measures undertaken to reduce the level of in the air. So this includes, planting trees and, other this vehicular emission and things like that, as well as, if it is say like, for example, Delhi would have this one, the dust actually comes in from outside. So in that case, they will have to take some mitigation measures for that. So overall, the level of dust has to be as less as possible. But if you see the dust level indicators, air quality indicators in our city, it is mostly hovering around dangerous and red zone or orange zone basically. So we have to work a lot on this. And here I don't mean volunteers. These are more again towards the official responsibilities, primarily KSPCB. Then comes the social support groups. In 100% of slums falls under the jurisdiction of the ULB. Okay, so all slums, in the jurisdiction must have social support groups in the slums. Next point, Swachhata app or local app. See, there is no distinction made by them. Either use local app or use Swachhata app with commensurate capability. It is, both are acceptable. So what they are supposed to do, number of active users on Swachhata app or local app. Okay, this is counted vis-a-vis. Next point. Next point is percentage of complaints are resolved within service level agreement time frame. So if the service level agreement are typical 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on the severity of the problem. So you cannot actually drag it on and say, leave it unattended, right? So number of percentage of complaints which are resolved within the SLA. So that also will be taken into account. Percentage of complaints related to open urination, yellow spot, resolved within SLA time frame. Okay. Now, how do you resolve this? So obvious solution is to provide a official urination station, right? So so that people don't have to relieve themselves out in the open. Percentage of households registered with the app. Now, what is the difference between 1 and 4? So active users are those who have used, the app within last X months. Whereas if you are a registered household, see, they are not using how many mobile users are there, because even some nowadays, some people have 2 mobiles. Okay. So that doesn't count. Number of household is what counts. So from each household, at least one member has to be a member, be registered with the app, so that his voice will be captured. So this is also monitored. User feedback on resolved complaints. So that means why this is important, because Sahay helpline, if you see, the complaints are closed. Many of them come, there is a feedback that Sahay helpline closes the complaints without doing anything. Okay. So what happens? This fellow, again reopens or files another problem saying that the problem is not resolved. So again, the clock starts ticking. So this is a very bad way of handling problems, right? So when somebody opens a problem, his feedback is necessary to close the chapter. So this is the number 5 actually says that get the user's feedback on the complaint which he raised. So if he was not happy about something, he has to finally declare. We have to persuade him to declare that, okay, now you are happy, right? So that is the ideal situation. Some people may still not be happy because, you fill a pothole with gel. Now he may say that, unless carpeting is done, I am not going to be happy. So such subjective matter will be there, but by and large, this is a criteria. Now this is actually, I don't think this will last for next year, for which we are planning COVID-19 response. One is percentage of municipal frontline workers vaccinated with both doses. Percentage of municipal frontline workers life and health insurance for COVID-19. 100% of municipal frontline workers covered under preventive care. Dependents on municipal frontline workers who lost their life get fairly compensated. Social groups created in wards engaging community self-help groups, resident welfare association, and volunteers to act as COVID response unit to help needy people. Now, this was very much relevant when the COVID actually started, right? But right now it is there. You can say that we are more or less there. I mean, this won't be much of a problem to score on this front. Innovation and best practices. See, we saw one point related to innovation technology, but that was in the context of public participation. This one is separate. So what it says is innovation and best practices by the ULB itself, innovation and best practices by the citizen, RWA, NGO, SHG, private sector, and CSR. The businesses who donate CSR funds. So all this basically has to be shared, and that will be evaluated. So that brings us to the end of the main SS syllabus. Do we have any questions?
No, I think we can go ahead. No, let's look at the.
Okay. So I will now move on to the next topic. How much time do we have?
Technically 15 minutes, maybe another 20 minutes.
20 minutes won't be sufficient. Should we postpone this GFC and ODF? Or I can cover ODF part first. It has less number of slides.
So if everybody can stay on for how long will it take?
This is like 7 plus 14, 20 slides means 1 hour. Not possible. Let us keep it for the next.
Let us come to Nagesh, let us go to GFC. ODF we can come back later. Let us get to GFC first.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let us finish it then. Once we start, we should finish, right?
Today we want to finish this whole thing. That's the reason.
All right.
Go a little faster. That's all.
Yeah. Anyway, this is in both these things, we have to actually say that we are actually we self-declare, and the assessor comes and he gives the assesses us. There is not much to be done actually. Okay, so that is the crux of it. So because of that common thing, we will not have much to describe anything, the inside working and things like that. And we have already made it very clear that these scores are actually counted in the final round. Okay, so I'll just move on to that. So this is the garbage-free city. Can everybody see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So GFC stands for garbage-free cities, and it has star ratings basically for each city. So that is the very simple scheme actually. Okay, so Okay, so there are certain preconditions for that, and these are the preconditions. To begin with, let me explain. There are 4 different levels: 1 star, 3 stars, 5 stars, and 7 stars. So you would notice that they are all odd numbers. They are not 2 star, 4 star, and 6 stars are not there, and that is intentional to show some distance between all these rankings. So for 1 star, the prior certification needed was ODF, which is valid for this year. That is provided if any city had the ODF certificate, which is discontinued now. So they can apply for 1 star. For 3 stars, ODF plus is required. For 5 stars, ODF plus is required. And for 7 stars, Water Plus certification is required. So in general, the prior certification refers to the ODF series of tests. So GFC naturally is dependent on the ODF series in turn, basically, where ODF and Water Plus is part of the same series, as I explained earlier. And there are other conditions for 5 star and 7 star, the upper end of the ranking, that 100% of processing of domestic hazardous waste is required for 5 star, and same thing for 7 star. So this is the prerequisites. If you do not feel that this is actually complied with, you cannot apply for that. Okay, so this is the first thing. Now this is the process for applying. Can you see it? The flow, process flow?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, basically, first step is to fill common city profile at a particular website. Okay. Then fill GFC MIS on the SBM Urban portal. Third step is self-assessment scores at SBM Urban portal. That means we have to assess it ourselves and put it there, that what are we claiming. Then apply for star rating. And then upload documentation and declaration. Now, this documentation and declaration is signed by each ward officers and each ward, corporator. So their involvement is required. Each school has to also self-declare that they are compliant. And then the third-party verification takes place, which has data verification, field verification, and citizen validation. So 3 steps are conducted, and then the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs issues a 1-year certificate. Now this is valid for 1 year, so next year again you have to repeat the process. So that is the short process for that. So what is the GFC scoring? So there are 3 types of parameters. If you see the left side column, there are 3 kinds of parameters. The first set is called mandatory parameters. Second call is essential parameters. And third one is called desirable parameters. That means must have, good to have and nice to have, that kind of thing, basically, in reducing, lowering, order of desirability. And for first star, 1 star, mandatory, parameters have to be more than 40% compliance. Essential parameters have to be more than 30% compliance. And desirable, it's not applicable. Just go for the bare minimum, you get 1 star. For 3 stars, there is a different percentage. And as we go in from 1 star to 3 star to 5 star to 7 stars, the percentage required quickly escalates. So if you see, for example, if you take 5-star column, there is 85% of the mandatory, requirements have to be met. Similarly, 80% of essential parameters have to be met, and 60% of desirable parameters have to be met. Now, if any one of that criteria fails, then the city actually is brought to the next lower level. That means, if, suppose you meet the 85% of mandatory, but you have 70% of essential, then you can't be placed in 5-star. So you will have to be tested for 3 stars. And if you fulfill all 3 requirements, then you stay at 3-star. And if you fail that also, then you will be downgraded to 1 star. So that is how the star scores are stars are given to every city. And this is the logic actually. I will not go through each and every step, but what happens is, I will just roughly describe this. When you apply, first check is do all 7 stars conditions are met or no. If it is met, straight away a certificate is given by the ministry. If it is not met, then the question is, does the ULB want to reapply? If they don't want to reapply, then the downgradation, as I described, happens. They check for, first of all, 5-star conditions met or not. If it is not met, they move on to 3-star, then they move on to 1-star. But if the 5-star conditions are met, again 5-star assessment is taken place. If it passes, a 5-star certificate is given. If it fails, then they'll again look for 3-star or 1-star. So like that, this branch actually describes if you reapply, what happens. So in this case, if you reapply, there is a cool-off period, which is either 1 month or 6 months. So if your DA stands for desk analysis, that means they do theoretical analysis of your data, what you provided, and FA stands for field analysis. So they come here or do the phone checking and they do the field analysis. So if desk analysis fails, then they let you must wait for 1 month and then reapply for 7-star, because we failed to meet the 7-star conditions. So we are applying, again, you are allowed to reapply. But if you met the desk analysis, but failed in the field analysis, you have to wait for 6 more months. You can't reapply immediately. After 6 months, the field analysis failed means what? They came and saw some problems in the field. So your claims were outrageous. It was claiming too much, and they did not see the evidence in the field. So they give you 6 months. They don't think that in 1 month you will be able to generate that much evidence in the field. So therefore, the cool-off period is 6 months, not 1 month. And then again, the second trial, you are given a second chance. If the DA or FF fail, no fail means a certificate is given, or otherwise again for 6 months you have to cool off. So that means this 6 months and this 6 months means up to 1 year you have to wait. So practically you slip into the next year. And again, third chance is given. Again, they will say, check whether failed or not. If the third time it fails, then you straight away are taken to 5-star. You are not allowed to again apply for 7-star. So that kind of logic is built in the workflow. So this is followed for GFC. Now let us look at what are the parameters in 3 categories. Mandatory parameters: door-to-door collection has to happen, segregation at source has to happen, sweeping of public, commercial and residential areas has to happen, litter bins are provided, storage bins are provided, waste processing of wet waste is being done. Then waste processing capacity of wet waste, waste processing of dry waste. This you would remember that the same criteria was applicable in our processing part of the Swachh Sarvekshana also. So that is why I said that all this is actually duplication of what we saw in the Swachh Sarvekshana part 1, SLP. Waste processing capacity of dry waste. See, these are in pairs, the waste processing and waste processing capacity. Similarly, dry waste processing and dry waste processing capacity. So these are always in pairs, right? Then comes the grievance redressal. If somebody is not getting the service, somebody is having a black spot, all those are grievances and they have to be addressed. Then essential parameters: bulk waste generator compliance, penalty or spot fines are applied or not applied, segregation at city level. See, the earlier point was the mandatory point was segregation at source, but here segregation at city level. User charges. See, we talked about all collection and transportation must be recovered from user charges. The city must not pay anything. So this is that essential charges. Plastic ban, C&D waste collection, scientific landfill availability and use. This means this was also covered in Swachh Sarvekshana, if you remember. And the idea was that all landfills have to be lined properly. They have to be, created in such a way that leachate does not get generated. Whatever leachate is generated is removed, or it does not get into the groundwater. So the same thing is applicable here also. And waste disposed, scientific landfill waste disposed. How much of waste is disposed? This also is part of the Swachh Sarvekshana. Water bodies and stormwater drains. This also are you taking care of or not? This was very much there in this Swachh Sarvekshana also. In fact, there is nothing new in this, screening of nalas. Now, this is a specific point which they have included. And all it means is, even if garbage is floating in the nalas or the Rajkal ways and things like that, you should have a screening. That means the barriers put to collect those, the garbage which is floating away, and so collected and removed. Then desirable parameters. Third category, sustainability, on-site wet waste processing, waste storage, segregation, processing, and recycling. Waste use of material, that means reuse of material. If you remember, just now we covered how much of reused material is used and what is the revenue generated after. This is very similar to that. Dump site remediation, that means once you are actually using the dump site, then it has to be brought back to a normal situation. You would have seen, I don't know whether people have seen such case studies where, there are case studies where dump sites are converted into gardens, and people don't even realize that below that garden there is a landfill. So such effort have to be put to beautify and normalize the land so that it is not a threat anymore. Now the scores. This is the type of score sheet which they have provided actually. So what happens is, we talked about the mandatory and the essential and the desirable parts, right? So here the same thing is codified. So at ward level, there are two levels in each parts. We are talking about here, this table actually is for mandatory parameters, but the same similar tables are there for essentials and desirable parameters also. So there are two levels. One is called ward level. This second one is called city level. Okay, some codes, some things are applicable at ward level, some are applicable at the city level. So M1 to M5 at ward level, M6 to M10, N10 at city level. And they are all given 100 marks, okay? And then these levels are declared that if you score 50, then you are at level 1. If you score 75, then you are at level 2. But finally, whatever score you do, it is given 12% weightage. Okay, so 100 marks actually is reduced to 12 marks. And out of the 12 marks, this 75 is counted. So 75% of 12 marks will be contribution from door-to-door collection. So the whole total of this column is 100 again. So mandatory parameters, the total weightage, if you calculate, it will be 100. So based on whatever you achieved, that will be actually totaled up. And that is your score. So like that, there is essential parameters also, same thing. Only difference is at ward level, there are only 2 parameters, and city level, all the rest of the parameters are there. Okay, very similar treatment is given. So total weightage is given to each parameter, and then the score, whatever you score in each aspect, is then weighed down and then total. This is for desirable parameters. So citizen engagement, just like Swachh Sarvekshan, we saw a long list of citizen engagement. Here also there is one. So we say RWAs, these many activities you have to engage. This is more specific than the SS, which is generic one, right? So what RWA can do, they have actually given an idea. So door-to-door campaigns, showcase on-site composting techniques, door-to-door or other campaigns on the need for and ways of keeping a litter-free environment, all this kind of thing. So for each type of your citizen category, there is a commensurate type of activity which you have to engage. Now, this is why I was telling that, GFC is a little different. but it actually, put together, you get a fair idea about what each type of citizen can do and how we have to keep them engaged, right? So our body of volunteers will have an easy time following this particular table. So like that, there are total 12 kind of categories, and each category has a different role to play and responsibilities to execute, right? So this is how we have to engage them. So this is all about GFC. Any questions?
Sir, come to the last slide, sir, please. Last slide. Just show the last slide.
About the ODF stream now. Okay, so this involves ODF plus, ODF plus plus, and water plus. The three graded tests in the same series, actually. So what is included? Again, this chart I have explained earlier. The difference between ODF plus plus, and water plus. So how it is basically in ODF plus, you are talking about only the toilets, and nobody is out in the open defecating. That's it. So that part, once you achieve it, you're certifiable with ODF plus certificate. But once the fecal sludge is there, and once the sewage is there, then that becomes a threat to the safety and hygiene of other people. So you have to take care of that. So that becomes the subject matter of ODF plus plus. So not only you have to manage the
Somebody has
toilets.
asked what is ODF? Maybe you should just explain the abbreviation.
Yeah, see, open defecation free city. That means nobody is using, sitting out in the, in the public area to go for toilet, So that is the basic meaning. And the plus means it is basically one level. It was in the context of ODF, which was without any plus sign, which was meaning that you have provided toilets, that's all. And then ODF plus means that nobody is, the outcome is that nobody is seen at any point of time using any public area. So if you say, for example, if you go to say Mumbai or other places, you will see around the railway track, there are so many slum people who are sitting, out in the open and so on. So early morning people get, unfortunately have to see these, scenes. So that is, if you can't see any time of the day or night, that means your city has provided toilets for each and everyone who is living in the city. So that is ODF plus category. Okay, but if that sewage or the sludge which is created has to be treated, and if that is treated and it is not thrown in the open areas, then you have achieved ODF plus areas. And if you can guarantee that all wastewater is treated to satisfactory level, not only plain treatment, but meeting a specific level, then you actually are declared as compliant with water plus. So that is the gradation. So these are the components of the entire drive. Okay, so ODF as a generic name, is actually, this particular white part belongs to the ODF the part, and this part belongs to the ODF plus part. This is ODF plus part. This is ODF plus part. I will explain now one by one. ODF again to mean open defecation free. Okay, that is a drive, the whole name of the program. ODFS is S for sustainability. So how you can make sustainable? You can't actually hold people for long unless you have made foolproof arrangements and they are consistent and people do not hesitate to avail of those facilities, right? So this is the last mile connectivity you have to provide by addressing the needs of the physically handicapped people, the physically disabled people. Okay, persons with disabilities. PWD is person with disability. So if they also should be able to use the toilets, and there are specific designs for such toilets where wheelchair accessible toilets where people can go and access. There are no steps or something where they have a problem in accessing. All such designs are there, and very well detailed designs are available. So all of those type of toilets have to be available in all the city areas. And that is the last mile connectivity, part number 1. Part number 2 is available toilets have to be retrofitted with railings and other, parts which are, for those people. So this whole thing is basically counted as sustainability part 1. And second part of sustainability is that despite, giving toilets, people don't prefer because of their own reasons, right? So that, you have to do some social engineering to change the behavior of the people to make it sustainable. And then go on monitoring the community who sits out in the open, why don't they use it, what is their problem, removing their problem, all that problem comes next. So this part is the sociology part of it. So put together, it forms the ODF-S, means sustainable ODF. Then comes the solid waste management. Again, this is a large overlap, and I am really not sure why SWM is included in ODF part of it, because this has nothing to do with toilets or anything like that, or toilet paper, because we are not in the habit of using toilet paper as waste. So SWM is part of it. Liquid waste management means sewage or septage or as we call it, the sludge management. So that comes under this, and fecal sludge management. These two parts are part of the ODF++. So if you are doing this as well, then you are achieving the entire the 3 levels which I described in the previous slide. And the Water Plus has got a very, how it is to be done is, I have actually taken a sample. So declaration by the ward councillor or ward engineer, what does it involve? So in our case, we have to manage almost like 200 declarations, right? So what does it include? Wastewater from oil toilets is discharged into UGD or soak pit or twin pit latrine. This is the first declaration. Additional grey water is discharged into UGD. Now, what is grey water? Grey water is what is not coming out of toilet flush directly, is called grey water. So that grey water is discharged into the underground line. That is, sewerage line also called. So that is next declaration. Now, this is by ward councillor. That means the ward committee people, right? And there is one more declaration to be given by municipal corporate commissioner or city engineer. And there is a much longer list actually. So there are 2 parts. The first part is, STP capacity is sufficient to treat 100 LPCD. Now this is a very strange limit, because what 100 LPCD means that every person in Bangalore gets to use 100 liter per capita, means per person, per day. LPCD means liter per capita per day. So that means 100 liters per day per person. Okay. And the real figure is 140 to 300 liters. So, but the declaration only requires, is your STP sufficiently large to handle 100 LPCD? So that means whatever 50% of the sewage will do. So that clarity I have sought. But anyway, this is the requirement which, as it is, I am describing. Second, sufficient suction and haulage capacity to empty septic tanks every 3 years. And now 3 years is the outside limit. It doesn't have to be every 3 years, but between 1 to 3 years. Practically, it is between 1 to 3 years. Wherever there is a septic tank, then you have to employ the suction, truck, what is known as honeysucker, to come and take away all that, the muck, right? So that has to be there. And considering how many septic tanks are there in the city and which area, you have to have enough number of suction trucks actually employed. All septic tanks are desludged every 3 years. Same thing, but the previous point was in terms of having trucks to take it away. And this one is, with respect to every tank. Sufficient septage treatment is available in the city. Treatment as existing STP using spare capacity, treatment at a standalone FSTP. That means sludge can be treated in 2 different ways. One is take it to an existing BWSSB STP and they will treat it using their spare capacity. It will be mixed with the existing sewage. And the other one is to use a standalone dedicated the fecal sludge treatment plant, which is different from an STP. So either option you can take. Now, as I mentioned previously, we do not have so many soak pits, so this question doesn't bother us so much. But when giving declaration, you have to be careful. Then more than 25% of treated wastewater is reused at city level. Now, this is a very tough question, and it has to be used for horticulture, it has to be used for agriculture, industrial use, cleaning roads, and so on. Now, the question is that if you have a huge slope and the treated wastewater water is available at the end of it outside city limits, how will you bring it back, and in which part of the city will you use it to the extent of 25% of that generated wastewater? So it's a huge problem. I do not know whether it is declared honestly or people just tick.
Nagesh, luckily Bangalore has already done it by pumping the water to Kolar and to Chikbalapur. We have achieved it. We have achieved more than 50%. Forget 20%. That's the truth, right?
A schedule exists to repair. Now, I don't want to launch into the demerits of that approach because it actually terribly upsets the water balance of our area. Reuse means actually our groundwater is returned to its original level, right? So it's not a perpetual method, and it has a very short-lived, project where, it's like we don't have our own salary, but we are doing donation to others. Okay, it is exactly same as that. So our ground level is going down, and in 1 or 2 years, maybe we will have a terrible shortage, and then we will fight with the outside areas for that water only. Anyway, so a schedule exists to repair, clean, and desilt all municipal drains, both pre and post monsoon. Now, this particular point is actually counterintuitive, because if you are not supposed to dump your garbage into the drains, then why do you have to clean it? So it is basically a self-defeating point. But then, as I told you, such points are getting clarified. And now there is a new SBM director. So we hope that she will actually take care of this. Next point, the bar screen are placed at laid down intervals in all open municipal drains. That means Raj Kaluwe and other type of smaller kaluways. Bar screen means it's a net basically are placed to trap what is floating debris, and it is removed to on a regular basis. A schedule exists, and then these are the two dimensions given. That if the cross section of the drain is more than 10 square foot, then the nets should be at 500-meter interval, and all major secondary or to primary drains joints actually you also have to put, and primary drains and major water bodies. That means at the entry of a lake, of each lake, there has to be a net. Have you ever seen this? Answer please, anyone. Second point. Second part. So point number 8, UGDs are well maintained, continuous and connected, and do not peter out in unplanned way. One example is, in Harlur Road, okay, near Belandur, the, UGDs were terminated in army area. So when people actually dumped their sewage, the whole shit broke out in army area, and army people came and blocked it. And the whole thing broke loose in an open, road. So that kind of planning should not be done. Another example is that, in ST bed area, that, the drains are lower than the surrounding area. So the shit cannot pass to the higher area. So the gravity fed line fails. So such kind of planning must not be done. This is easy to say, but, we have examples of, colossal failures on this front. All manholes are to be covered to avoid any accident and garbage dumping. Okay. I would say it is not accidental, it is intentional, but I mean, we have to declare something. So there it is. No sewage overflow from wastewater conveyance system, manholes and pumping stations. Okay, best example is Begur, for example. Take Begur, which has got a very great gradient. I heard of similar incident in North Karnataka also. I mean, North Bangalore. Somebody actually told me that, you know, they also have similar area. And what is it? Bainarayan Tarapura. Ram, help me out. Which is that area?
Which one, Nagesh? For?
Sewage overflow from manholes.
Sewage
Especially when it
overflow
rains, the
manholes.
sewage lines overflow and the whole thing comes out of manholes.
Yeah, that
So-
we have quite a bit. The Dabamsandra itself ends up at an area wherein the sewage line ends and there is nothing after that. And
So that is the
whole
previous
sewage
point.
enters into
That
a
is point number
particular-
8. But you know, point number 10, I know of Begur, where the, you know, the gradient is so much and the pipelines are so narrow that there is a huge pressure in the, you know, pipeline, and as a result the manholes are not sealed actually. You know, they basically, you know, sewage comes out.
Yeah, that most of the areas have. Each ward will have one point like that most of the time.
Yeah. So then sewers and manhole chambers are being cleaned at least once in a year. Now this will happen only when they are numbered and there is a record kept. Otherwise, this will be a fake record. So this is what they have to declare, and based on that, the, you know, assessment will be done.
Now remember,
Okay.
this whole thing has to be declared by the municipal
Commissioner and city engineer. So that means, again, in the hierarchy, the lower level people have to tell the city engineers that, you know, I know this to be true, right? In my area, drains are well maintained, sewer and septic tanks are cleaned mechanically only, no manual entry. And if manual entry is required for any reason, then they have to have adequate personal protection equipment and due approval. That means there should not be incident when the person actually gets overcome with toxic fumes and, you know, drowns. 100% operations and maintenance cost of sewer networks, STPs and FSTPs are recovered through dedicated revenue streams. That means, you know, there is no sponsorship from either BBMP, BWSSB or state government. All Swachhata local app complaints are addressed within service level agreement. Okay, this is a very brave statement, I would say. Choked sewers, leakage of sewer, water logging, septic tank cleaning, uncovered manholes, drain cleaning. Okay, as I am giving you this, I'm presenting this slide. We have overflowing just opposite our road, which is a major road. It is 40 feet out of the 80 feet wide road is waterlogged for last 6 months. So, you know, there would be a brave engineer who declares that all within SLA. So this covers the ODF part, ODF and water sharing actually. So